Welcome back to Stay on Topic. This is episode 5.5. We failed to mention in the previous episodes that we have an email account if you want to ask us questions, complain, anything. That email is stayontopic111@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Giltastrophe, and you can hit James at
postjm9.
And this week, as always, we're joined by the mother of all Bobs, Bob Ricotta.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I look forward to some lively discussion today.
Also got our friend James Post, the godfather of Stay on Topic, and a guy who made the FBI watch list after last week's episode about Persona 5.
Hey, thanks. I'm glad to be allowed back after last week's episode, and I'd like our listeners to note that we are coming to them in living stereo this week.
This is exciting. This was a really weird, busy week. Any other week, if you get a story like the president signing a new measure aimed at rolling back the federal funding for Planned Parenthood, that's a big topic. That'd be a big topic.
Sure.
Any other week, when the Rocky Mountain Fur Con for furries canceled their event because of an influx of neo-Nazi furries, that would be a big story.
Wait a minute.
An actual story. They had to...
Neo-Nazi furries?
Neo-Nazi furries that wear red armbands with paws on them.
Furry skinheads? How does that even work?
There are foxes and squirrels with red armbands with little paw prints on them.
Is it wrong that I find this a little arousing?
Not wrong.
You know, I don't judge, James. You're into what you're into. You played Persona 5. We get it.
Actually, the AV Club did a review of Persona 5.
Really?
I felt dirty just reading the review.
But you read the review.
I did.
I got you interested enough to read the review.
I did read the review.
And now you have a PS4. Are you going to download it?
Horizon is first.
There you go.
But
you can borrow my copy.
okay. Man, we've set a record.
There was no offer made, by the way, for me to borrow his copy.
Well, no. I mean, you're getting a house. You want the game too? So
let's not even fucking go there.
No bitterness here, ladies and gentlemen. We're just airing our dirty laundry.
like I said, busy week.
Anywho.
Any of these topics we could expound on.
And believe me, we're not done with the Nazi furries. We're just going to go like off camera.
Like, I feel really bad for the furries. They had to cancel their con.
Sure.
I mean, they look forward to the Denver con because you can smoke pot out there now. I don't know how you smoke pot in those furry masks, though.
Like tubes.
Yeah.
An intricate
bong.
Yeah.
Under the, okay.
Yeah.
You don't feel bad for the neo-Nazi furries who didn't get to show up and express themselves? There was no ACLU, protecting them like, the KKK and Skokie.
No, I don't think this say.
I'll say it again. So yeah, I wish we could play the intro to MASH. Because we may be going to war in Korea
again
with we never actually
we may be actually putting some effort back into the war with Korea.
So
we've just been slacking off this whole time.
I picture the White House and somebody whispering in Donald Trump's ear, we never ended this war in Korea, and Trump saying, "You mean we don't have to ask Congress?" Or no, we're good. And then
it's all set.
But don't say it. And then you pan over to Trump, and he's on Twitter. So yeah, craziness. So it started with a missile test, and then it went to a tweet, and then another show of arms by Korea, and I don't know what's going on now. Everyone's lost their goddamn minds.
Well, it seems like every time Trump flexes his muscle or opens his mouth, his favorability rises. And ever since the missile strike in Syria, his favorability is inched back up. And that's just going to fuel the man's ego.
But it hasn't inched back up that much.
Enough.
Inched is a good...
Right. It turned around enough.
He's still 20 points underwater.
Yeah. It's enough for a narcissist to be like, oh, people like that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So I should do more of this. It's a very childish response, but
and to me, it reminds me of the response of a bully who thinks that force is always the way to solve any problem. And he learned very quickly that this is a thorny issue. We can't just threaten our way out of the Korea issue.
and for the second time in his young presidency, he learned on the job, and he's like, "Who knew this was so complicated?"
Yeah. I mean, he actually said words to that effect. I thought China could lean more on Korea and put pressure on them, and he said China's influence on North Korea is very limited.
Well, yeah, it's so frustrating to watch. When he did the same thing with healthcare, it's like, wow, I didn't realize it was this big of a thing. Holy cow, you guys, this is tough.
China's influence on North Korea is limited to what can be exerted without it being publicly obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that the North Korean leadership doesn't want to look like is like they're in the pockets of China.
Right.
The only saving grace right now is that NBC reported last week that any attacks on North Korea had to be done with the consent of South Korea. And right now, South Korea isn't looking like they want to give consent to that kind of thing.
Does South Korea have a strong enough central leadership at this point to even make that decision in a rational way? Because that's the other dimension of this, is that, you know, the South Korean political landscape is a disaster right now.
Yeah,
at the worst possible time. And, you know, in any other situation where, you know, the influences of Trump and his sort of sudden extension of American power overseas when people weren't expecting it weren't so obvious on North Korea's actions, I would say that they were basically reacting to the sense of weakness from South Korea. At this point, I think that's just, you know, one of several things that's driving this.
Right.
Yeah, from what I read, the leading contender for the South Korean presidency is more in the China camp than he is the United States camp, and he's more willing to not roll over, but he's more willing to side with China than he is the United States. So that would not lend itself to any kind of consent for an attack. So how does this end? Let me ask you, how does this end?
The same way this conflict was always going to end. One of two ways. The North Korean regime collapses from within, or they do something so egregious that some outside power has to intervene.
But do you see either of those scenarios happening soon? I mean, I see scenario A happening eventually. I'm talking about how does this current situation end with us sending an aircraft carrier into North Korean waters? How do we end this hostility?
I don't see, and this is me playing sort of armchair, uneducated, frankly pretty stupid psychologist. I don't see that there's any real desire for an actual war from North Korea. I think they obviously have an interest in controlling their own population by maintaining a war mindset at all times in order to give themselves the right to control all of the resources in the country and leave their people starving. I think actually firing the first shot against a U.S. carrier in international waters, or in their own waters even, I just don't see it happening, because whatever damage they think they may be able to do, they know they're done.
They're going to
what he wants is the status quo.
He'll send a dinghy out into the ocean, paint stars and stripes on it, bomb it, and tell all his people that, see, we sank one of their aircraft carriers, eh?
Exactly.
Eh?
They've been waging essentially a wag the dog war against the West for 50 years now.
3 generations.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any real thirst from anyone in power in North Korea for an actual war. I think that we may find ourselves in a situation, and this is where things get tricky, where we have to do something to give them the ability to save face, to get out of a confrontation. And I don't know what happens if we're unable to do that.
Not with the current power structure in the U.S. I don't.
That's the unknown.
Yeah.
I
Not a lot of bright bulbs in the box right now.
I think they're going to be trying to get out of this if it escalates any further. And I don't know if those signals will be correctly read by the White House.
Yeah. Maybe, I mean, this is where you really hope that military advisors and military personnel can say, hey, guys, this is what they're actually doing,
Yeah.
and this is why they're doing
Somebody
it.
from the Pentagon or
Yeah, an analyst, something. That's
Lord John Marbury.
Yeah, oh, nice. First one of the day, right?
And that's when you get to the issue of who does Trump listen to?
Right.
Yeah. Apparently, his son-in-law, and his daughter, and
And
that's
not
pretty
Steve
much
Bannon anymore.
right.
Yeah. That happened fast.
Yeah.
The transition or dropping of Bannon? Because
I was referring to Bannon.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, as little as 2-3 weeks ago, Bannon was in the upper echelon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was frustration after everything he did in the first month and a half of his presidency was just greeted with boos and yucks, and his favorability was dropping through the floor. And it really changed when he ordered the missile strike on Syria. He's like, hey, Bannon, this isolation thing not working. We're doing something else because everyone likes me when I throw armament around.
Yeah.
I mean, really, to me, that was somebody in there knows how to assuage his ego, and Bannon never did.
And consequently, I'm starting to read articles, one in Politico this week, about how Trump's base is feeling abandoned by him.
Yeah.
The isolationist wing of Trump's base is saying we didn't sign up for a war in Syria. But I'm using this as an argument against, or I'm using this against the GOP now, but I say it's equally, both sides are equally guilty, that in the end, partisanship wins. You know, the Trumpites might dislike one or two things about Trump, but they're going to stick with him. They're going to vote for him in 2020. You know, so these grumblings, these things about the base leaving, I don't buy it anymore. We're too partisan. Where are they going to go?
Right.
And that's where I wish I'd had the opportunity this weekend. It's just been too crazy to see more direct numbers out of, say Kansas 4 in that special election and see which voters were turning.
Right.
Yeah.
And, well, the Democrat who ran in Kansas 4, James Thompson, who almost stole a seat for the Democrats in Congress. His opponent, Pompano, who got shepherded towards the CIA head, he was winning by 60% in that district for like 2 decades. And the margin of victory for this it's not a runoff election.
No, it's just a special election.
Special election was 53 to 47 or 48.
Yeah.
That's the closest a Democrat has come in generations.
Yeah, and Trump's margin was 65.
Yeah. Yeah, and the best part about Mr. Thompson, he did this with $232,000 with zero help from the DCCC. The Democrats gave him no help because they just were like, we're never going to win.
They wrote it off, yeah.
Yep, and
I don't necessarily disagree with that tact.
well, obviously, it almost worked. I mean, he got his message out, and people responded to it. Same with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders got his message out. As much. I think Bernie Sanders' message is a little far flung, but people like it.
Is it? I mean,
Yeah, a little bit.
New York State just instituted free state tuition for state residents. That's something Bernie was talking about.
But interestingly enough, that was announced with New York Governor Andrew Cuomo alongside Bernie Sanders, was signed into law with New York Governor Cuomo alongside Hillary Clinton. So an interesting shift there.
Yeah. Well, someone sees an opportunity in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't imagine the calculus was any different when he invited Bernie, 2 months ago. I don't know.
A Cuomo being opportunistic.
I know, it's shocking.
Yeah, I got to sit down for this one, folks. I feel like I've been punched in the stomach.
Maybe he figures it's the best of both worlds. He gets, he gets in with both of those groups.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of Clintonites saying, hey, you were with Bernie first, and now you're, I don't. You'd have to be really inside baseball to really take offense to that kind of thing. I think he played smart. I think he played both sides of the fence. And I applaud our future overlord.
Well, and it is inside baseball, but I really do like to read the visual.
Sure, sure. And we wouldn't be doing this if we weren't inside baseball a little bit.
Yeah.
But how receptive are voters going to be to another white dude from New York? In the general election?
They're not, because who's going to be running is another white woman from New York. Kirsten.
She already said she wasn't.
I don't know.
I think she would do. I think she would do really well.
I think she would do really well.
Yeah,
I'm on the bandwagon right now.
Never mind. I'll stay out of this one.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
We'll talk off camera.
Yeah,
but the New York thing, we think it's great.
Another female senator from New York.
Yeah,
but she's an honest one. she uses CompuServe.
Yeah, the Dems, their infighting is probably going to cost them again because they're not supporting the Bernie crats.
I don't think so. I read an excellent chat on 538.com. Keep plugging our competition, but about how Dems are.
I'm sure they're worried.
We're coming after you, Silver.
Ezra Klein, you're next.
But never Rachel.
No.
Never Rachel.
Oh, she's untouchable for you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, she's eminently touchable.
You know what? I think at this point we have to start over.
It's too late,
Just
man.
cut. We're done.
Thanks for coming, ladies and gentlemen.
I need 3 more drinks, and then we can start again.
What were we talking about?
Another New York
type
that I don't
it's
think
almost
that
as if
plays
we
well.
failed to stay on topic.
Pass the ether, please. So anyway, who is the Dems' best hope in 2020?
James, I got nothing.
Julian Castro?
I don't know. The only person I see quoted in stories, seeking the Democratic view on things related to Trump lately is Adam Schiff of California.
Yeah.
He's out there. Seems to lack any and all possible charisma.
Speaking of no charisma, I've heard Sherrod Brown's name bandied about.
Wow.
Yeah. This is our bench, folks.
Yeah.
What do they have on Cory Booker? Seriously, they have tried to get this guy's national career off the ground for 15 plus years now? He must have done something really bad in the past that everybody knows about except us, because he's a super smart guy. He's a really good middle of the road in terms of blue dog progressive Democrat. I don't know why they don't put him out there.
It's possible there's something in his past we don't know about. That's certainly true.
Can it be worse than Russian hookers peeing on his bed?
That's just an allegation. But I also wonder if it's just the short-sightedness of saying, we already got our black man. Now we need a Latino woman, or we need a white woman, or, we can't go black male again. It sounds funny, but I think at some subconscious level in people's minds, they're like, we already got that.
Yeah.
We need another one.
Yeah. Well,
But his name is Cory Booker, a nice American name. Unlike Barack Hussein Obama,
Yeah.
which was decidedly not a name you would associate with America.
and I don't know if it rises to the level of what you just articulated, or it could just be, we don't want to run another African American because then we'll look like we're trying to repeat a formula.
Yeah. I would like to point out that Chris just said that a black Muslim rooted name doesn't sound American.
It does now. It didn't at the time.
Which ties in well with my theory that Chris Gill is racist.
Here we go again. Luke Cage sucked. Okay, it was not good. It wasn't Iron Fist shitty, but it sucked. The second half was terrible. Doesn't make me a racist.
No, they just coincide. They just reside together in the same body.
The correlation exists. We're not suggesting the causation.
Correct.
James, what do you have on topic today?
A couple of minor things going on that may or may not turn out to be anything, which is why I'm kind of just throwing them out there to see what sticks. Today, we're recording this on Saturday, April 15th. Today, there were a bunch of marches planned around the country. Apparently, pretty good turnout from what I've read, demanding the release of Donald Trump's tax returns. The one in D.C. was actually going to feature Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat of Oregon, Maxine Waters, who's been in the news a lot from California, both going to speak at the D.C. march. Adding a lot of Democratic mainstream heft to that event. They're not sort of outsiders screaming at the White House. There's obviously some mainstream Democratic support for whatever that is. And basically, trying to make Trump's tax returns a rallying point for progressives, for Democrats. A lot of people talking in sort of preview stories of these marches about the fact that we can't judge Trump's presumably upcoming tax reform bill without seeing his taxes, trying to tie those issues together, saying that there's no way to judge the legitimacy of his plans for tax reform unless we know how he's going to benefit.
That is valid.
We've seen his 2005 tax return. What more did he need? Really? Come on.
So I get my question on this topic. There's been a lot of polling, not so much recently, but like back in January, February, there was some polling, including one from Pew, saying that 65% of Americans said they wanted to see Trump's tax returns. I'm wondering if this is a case where they asked the question but failed to ask people how much they care.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the gun control issue, where it's not really the numbers, it's the passion behind the numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
As we continue to see actual policy from Trump unfold, as we see what his tax plan looks like and how it affects voters and not so much how it affects him personally, does this issue eventually go away? Do people stop caring?
I don't know. Because to me,
way to take a stance, Chris.
I know. If, let's say we get dragged into a military conflict, nobody's going to give a shit. But if it's more Trump bluster, his buddies and family are making out like bandits, then yeah, the shrieks are only going to get louder. So it all depends on the quote unquote weather.
Yeah.
Which way the storm blows is going to dictate how much people care about this.
Because I don't care about Donald Trump's tax returns. I know he's sort of rich, not as rich as he's portrayed himself as. I know he's made money off of some shitty deals where he ripped off workers and contractors. These are all things I know,
but you didn't
just from what's come out publicly through good reporting.
But you didn't vote for Donald Trump.
No, I didn't.
There are plenty of people who don't know those things, or at least don't believe
Are
those.
they going to pay any more attention to those things if they're the result of the release of tax returns?
I think so. I think a portion of your Trump supporters will start to peel. You're going to get some peeling away, and you don't need to peel away that many. You know, a few thousand in the right districts, and Hillary Clinton would be president right now. So,
No,
here's
few more thousand people got off their asses and voted.
Well,
that's
either way.
You can always argue turnout. I mean,
this was almost half the electorate, man. I mean, that's
normal. I mean,
this was egregiously bad.
Welcome to America, Chris.
Yeah.
So here's my take.
Next week, mandatory voting.
Yes.
Here's my take on the tax return issue. I don't think as an issue it is important. I think what it does is keep up the Chinese water torture of bad press during a slow news week.
So as an admitted, as you said before, which I thought was an interesting phrasing, as a committed Democrat, do you prefer this issue to remain live rather than having the tax returns actually released?
Would I rather have the issue than? Depends on what's in the tax returns. You know,
I
honestly,
am curious as all get out to see what's in those tax returns. I would love to see the tax returns. I don't think it's paramount to the future of the country to see them, but I'm really interested. I would love to see what's in there.
If
I do wonder how long, from the perspective of somebody who thinks that the release is going to hurt him, from the hypothetical perspective, not, as someone who necessarily believes that myself. I wonder how long that story is once the numbers are actually out there.
See, I don't think it's the numbers. I agree that he's not as rich as he thinks he is or he says he is.
Yeah, and I know there's obviously there's going to be information about, how he's connected to different people.
Yes, especially people who may be in the former Soviet Union. That's going to be whether he lives or dies.
But again, this is an electorate who's shown they don't really care that much about that.
Again, you don't need to flip 10% of the electorate. You only need to flip 1%, and Hillary Clinton is president. So,
or Gary Johnson gets a nice boost.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make Gary Johnson a thing.
And those are the things, you say flip 1% and Hillary Clinton is president, but we're not going to hold the 2016 election again in 2020.
No. But you've got to peel away his support. And it starts now. I don't want to start in October of 2020 chipping away at his support. I want to start now.
So you're asking the Democrats who have no game plan, like just no game whatsoever.
I don't believe that. I think they do have a game plan.
It's just a terrible one.
You believe they have a game plan? You think,
I believe they are on the 5-yard line with Marshawn Lynch running the ball like crazy, and they choose to throw.
Chris,
because that's what Democrats do.
Chris, we're doing a political podcast.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody got that reference?
And do you think this plan is somewhere in a filing cabinet along with the secret plan to fight inflation?
Exactly. Exactly. I think.
Doom, 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 doom.
I think
I may have just broken copyright by humming.
I think they do have a plan. I think they've run it fairly effectively.
Yeah, they really helped out James Thompson. Yeah, they're a huge help to him.
Do you think he was ever going to win?
He was so close with no funding.
And you think a couple $100,000 more would have pushed him over?
It would have spread his message out, yeah. And obviously his message hit.
The DNC has nowhere to put its money right now. They've got, no active races that anybody cares about for another 6 months or so before they need to start ramping up. Do you think another $3 million might have affected his chances?
Okay, maybe.
You get the message out to that many more people.
And that's momentum. Because we got more of these special elections coming.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so
there's one in Georgia. I can't remember
if
which.
there is a game plan, that was a dropped ball.
Yeah. They have no plan. They're terrible at everything. They haven't been good at anything since... Well, no, they even botched
FDR?
that. Yes. And after FDR, I mean, they even botched his vice president.
No.
Truman was never supposed to be his VP.
I just hate to say scoreboard, but how many of the last popular votes have Democrats won?
Democrats have a great message, and it's very populist, and they don't know how to get it out there.
Actually, Democrats have a horrible message.
They have a great message. We want to help you out. We want to spread the wealth. That's a good message. And they have no idea how to communicate that without sounding false or insincere or running a candidate that, looks like she's a ventriloquist dummy.
Wow.
Terrible at everything.
Do you add something else, James?
Just, one more of those little side stories going on right now. Obviously, we're in the middle of a congressional recess right now. This would be the time when many lawmakers would be coming home to their home districts and, holding town halls and hearing from their constituents. And in a lot of cases, particularly with Republicans, that does not appear to be happening. Some reporting from the Hill that a lot of Republicans in Congress are planning on holding multiple meetings with small groups rather than a single large gathering, something, trying to do something more controllable. Also, some reports of some of these congressmen holding online town halls on Facebook where they're not in the room with the people who they're meeting
I'm
with.
really surprised they're not doing invitation-only town halls. That would have been my move.
I saw some stuff today about people having lotteries for tickets to get into a town hall. That's not quite invitation only, but it does prevent the protesters who show up 3 hours early from...
Exactly, yeah.
Do the winners of the lottery get stoned to death, or am I thinking of something else?
No, Shirley Jackson, that's not it.
Okay.
Also from the Hill, let's see... Representative Ryan Costello, Republican of Pennsylvania, held a single town hall meeting during the recess in which video recording was not permitted.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. His only other town hall during this recess is going to be conducted as a conference call. Let's see. Leonard Lance, Republican in New Jersey, had a town hall meeting this past week where he was flanked on stage by 2 police officers for security purposes.
Oh, God.
So that's a way to project strength, I guess.
Yeah.
Not so much your own. And just to note, and obviously I'm sort of wearing 2 hats here, so I'm making no editorial judgment on this, but I do note that our own congressman in this district, Representative Tom Reed, Republican New York 23rd, has no town hall scheduled during this recess.
He's a busy guy.
I may be able to shed some light into why Republicans aren't having town halls. At a recent town hall, Oklahoma Congressman Mark Wayne Muller said when one of his constituents said, "We pay your salary," he said it was bullcrap.
Yeah.
Oh.
He said that he's paid enough taxes through his own taxes and the taxes his business pays that pays his salary. So basically, he's working for himself.
Yeah.
This carries on.
Just when you think that it's Republicans who can't go 5 yards without coughing, that it's Democrats rather that can't go 5 yards without coughing up the ball. We once again, as Chris Gill has talked about before, have a Republican saying something that maybe a lot of Republicans might think, but nobody was dumb enough to say until now.
There seems, ever since Trump's election, man, the Republicans have gotten so brave with their rhetoric that they think, well, no, this is what I really think, and they're probably going to get reelected.
They are,
because the electorate's dumb.
They are literally drunk with power.
Yeah, no doubt.
Remember our friend Joe Wilson, Mr. You Lie?
Yes.
He went to a town hall, and he told his constituents that he supported. Let me get my notes. He wanted to make sure violence against women was prosecuted, but he voted against the Violence Against Women Act. So when he said that he supported efforts to prosecute violence against women, his constituents yelled, "You lie," for 30 seconds.
Nice.
He had to wait for the cries of "You lie" to die down before he could continue the town hall.
This is just housekeeping. Maybe we'll have to get back to it next week if we don't have the answer right now. We're sure he did vote against the VAWA.
That's what CNN reported.
Okay, because for a while Tom Reed was getting tagged with voting against VAWA, and he had actually not been present for the vote for family reasons.
We'll double check that, but CNN reported that he voted against it.
Yeah, and I'm sure if that's what they said, that's true. But I just
no, we want to be factual.
Having seen that get misrepresented before.
Absolutely. But anyway, those are a couple of reasons why Republicans may want to avoid town halls.
And nice alley-oop having those facts, because those, this was my topic and those were not in my notes. So.
Well,
we're here to cover each other.
Yeah, I'm here for the assists.
So, as I'm ought to do,
You shall from time to time.
Nice.
Yes.
That's 3, at least 3, ladies and gentlemen. We've set a new Sorkin record. I'm taking the shirt off.
Oh my God, man.
Look at the gun.
He's serious. He's taking it off.
Wow.
Okay. And tying it around
I'm
his
having
head.
to move over a little. Things kind of spreading out.
Hey now. That's not me.
So I like to go through my notes, and then I like to end on a question to sort of move the conversation along. So the decision to not hold town halls, I think these sort of limited town halls and keeping people out or preventing video recording, all that kind of stuff, obviously a bad move that doesn't play well. The decision to just hunker down and not appear publicly during this recess, is that a good call politically?
Oh boy. For Tom Reed, why not? He's had one serious challenge in his district since, how many terms are we up to? 6 or 7?
Oh, 4.
4?
Yeah.
I thought it was more. Anyway, he's had one serious challenge. I mean, he feels pretty comfortable in this district. Why would he? Why would you put yourself through that when you know you're probably going to get reelected?
Well,
the Democrats are going to throw no money into this district because they've written it off.
No, I don't think they're. I think the Cook report lists Reed as vulnerable.
Really?
Yes.
To whom?
Great question.
I mean,
that's you have to have the right candidate.
Exactly.
And
are you saying Nate Shinagawa was not the right candidate?
Nate Shinagawa got damn close.
Yeah, he did. He made Tommy sweat.
He was a good candidate, actually. He started too late. He started 8 months out.
Yeah.
But no, he was really articulate, knew his stuff.
I know.
He was a little.
Did you just say he speaks so well?
No, I did not.
Racist.
But no, he seemed like a guy who knew his stuff. He was well out there on the left, as far as voicing his support for single payer, which that was back closer to the Obamacare debate. So that was still something that sort of struck a nerve with people on both sides. But no, he gave a good run. I think if we're going to stay on local politics, I think John Plum from Jamestown was a good choice. Not in terms of his end performance, which I think was lackluster, but in terms of not having someone out of Ithaca, New York, or Tompkins County in general, which is the sole hyper liberal bastion in this district.
Yeah, for people who don't know, Ithaca houses what, 5 universities?
It's like the Burlington of New York.
Yeah, this is our little version of Burlington, Vermont, and it is
great tequila bar, by the way.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh, it's a great town, great places to eat, as any large college town is going to have. Lots of interesting things to do. Love going there,
but liberal.
People from outside of Ithaca think of it as a giant psych ward. So
it is nothing but pleasant.
When you present a candidate who is either from Ithaca, as Shinagawa was, but managed to get past that,
yeah,
which Martha Robertson never did.
No,
who actually was not from Ithaca but from Dundee, which is a really rural community, like
with
20 miles outside of Ithaca. Yeah.
So,
but somehow got tagged with the radical Ithaca liberal thing anyway. So, yeah, I mean, this district, I think, is easily poachable. I think to go within the breakdown of the geography of this district and find the right candidate who's going to appeal to moderates.
Sean Hogan.
Again, I have to shut up. I love the hell out of Sean Hogan.
I do too.
Well, just one of my favorite people.
Anyhow, let me
explain who Sean Hogan is.
He is the mayor
listeners.
of Hornell. He's the longest running Democratic mayor in New York. Is that correct?
Could be.
And a mover and shaker
not sure on
in
that
the
number, but
yeah, he's a player in Western New York Democratic politics.
Yes,
but he's never expressed any interest in statewide office.
Nice fella.
Great guy.
Great guy.
Great Irish guy. Loves to toss back a beer or two.
And we should totally have him on the show.
I would love to have him on the show.
I bet he would come on the show.
From the perspective of a reporter.
Wait, that Gill guy doesn't like Luke Cage? Screw you. I'm not going on this show.
He's a guy who has the ability to ride that exact line that you love as a reporter, where he can say exactly what he thinks without going over the line where he's going to get himself or anyone else in trouble. You never feel like he's parsing, and yet you never feel like you have to ask him, are you sure you want to go on record that way? Like, he's totally comfortable with, he's always comfortable with whatever he feels like saying in response to an issue. And I respect that so much. We're well into the weeds on local politics.
Yes, we are.
This
Yeah.
point.
May I go back and answer your question about the smartness? Oh God!
Oh no!
The intelligence of not holding town halls.
Well, let me just finish my question because I didn't quite.
Okay.
Holy cow, you didn't? This is why we can't stay on topic.
This is a question in 5 parts.
Well, no, I just had more context, and maybe it'll make it easier for you to frame your answer. Maybe Gill will have a different answer if I frame it the way I plan to.
I think we've gotten all we can out of Gill.
He's spent at this point.
He's flaccid.
It was a rough night last night.
But just in terms of media policy, the press can make 2 weeks out of hay out of videos of town halls where it appears that the congressman can't control the crowd. I think just going on a website and seeing that there are no town halls scheduled as at best a one-day story.
Yeah, I think you have to take it case by case. In Reed's case, I don't think it hurts him.
I don't think it hurts anybody, because how many people even know that Congress is on recess right now?
Exactly.
We're in the Easter / Passover holidays.
Yeah.
People are focused on that. People are on spring break. They don't know what their congressman is doing. So if you don't hold town halls, yes, you're right. It may be a one-day story on the Hill or Politico or Slate. Most people don't read those.
But
You know what they should be holding instead of a town hall? A Seder.
That would be something.
is that the half man, half horse thing?
Yeah, no, that's a centaur.
Okay.
A satyr is the half goat, half.
Half goat. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pan was a satyr, I believe.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
And I quit.
So what'd you guys do fun last week? Anything?
We're really letting that go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my beloved and I were supposed to go to a poetry reading, a poetry slam at Barnes & Noble.
Which one?
Which beloved?
Yes.
Janelle Maloney and I. Oh, that's a thing now. My wife Ann and I went to the poetry reading that actually they had the wrong date on social media.
Oh, no.
It's next week. But that's all right. We did some browsing and we went out to dinner and just spent some time. So
Did you just get up and slam some poetry anyway?
I slammed something.
Wow.
Love you, honey. You too, Janelle.
How about you, James? Anything quite that exciting?
Pass.
Well, two big trailers hit for Thor Ragnarok, which looks like it's going to be by far the best Thor movie. Because the two previous Thor movies have really sucked.
No.
They're terrible.
The first one is not terrible.
They're both
Yes,
garbage.
it is.
It is not.
They are both, not even Hiddleston can help them. They're both garbage.
The first one is a huge, giant, steaming pile of shit.
Yeah.
And I challenge to a fight anyone who says otherwise.
Oh, shirts are coming back off.
They were thrown down, brother, because I enjoyed it.
I hate the art design of Asgard is awful. I hate they can't write dialogue for an Asgardian. The only guy that could do it was Whedon.
I will say that the first Thor was better than the first Captain America.
No.
Oh, my
no,
God.
Yes,
no,
yes.
No.
The first Thor was so heavily hung on an incredibly trite fish out of water story that no one seemed to want to write and yet felt obligated to. And it was just so awkward throughout. I just kept waiting for something to happen.
And they had good directors for both those movies.
Yeah.
That's what really baffles me. Especially the second Thor movie, The Dark World or Dark something.
Yeah, that was totally forgettable.
That was a Game of Thrones director that did that.
Yeah.
And it was just so.
That will probably land on my the worst Marvel movie.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're gonna
I
do a
have
list.
difficulty remembering what even happened in Thor 2, despite the fact that it fit,
The
that
Aether
it fed into the,
Yeah,
into
right.
the overall MCU canon.
killed Loki's mom. Loki now rules Asgard.
Spoilers.
But I've seen it twice, and it's still just a blur in my head.
Yeah. So, but
The first one more like a scar.
instead of shitting on the first two, this third one I've held out big hopes for a few years now, and judging by the trailer, it looks like it's going to deliver. It really looks great.
Well,
It makes me wonder from this trailer where you go from there to get the appropriate scale for Infinity War.
Yeah. I have all the faith in the world in the Russo brothers to take care of that.
Yeah.
I just
they did Winter Soldier, right?
and Civil War.
Okay, they did my two favorite non-Avenger.
Yeah, but at the same time, those were such grounded films.
Yeah.
They're
For
not
sure.
they're not cosmic in the way that Infinity War is going to have to be.
Right. Just based on what they've done, you kind of have to have blind faith in them.
I don't have to have blind faith. I have faith that they're good directors. I'm concerned they may not be well suited to the material. I'm
Also,
hoping
they've had
there
the
are-
same two writers, Marcus and McFeely team,
Yeah.
that wrote both of those. I mean, until they prove otherwise, I think we're good.
My concern is that they're going to, in fact, scale it down
Yeah.
to make it more digestible for the popcorn eating audience who, looks like Bob does with his shirt off.
Like right now.
Yeah.
No, I have no fear of that. Although I love the art design in Ragnarok, it looks like a Jack Kirby panel come to life.
Yeah.
It's pretty stunning. The director's first name, I can't remember the director's name, but the visuals they put forth are so compelling. You just hope the story can back them up.
And how much of the story leans on Planet Hulk? It looks like from the trailer
Yeah, I think they're going to, like Marvel does with every cinematic thing they do, they're going to switch it up.
Yeah.
They're going to use a lot of the themes from Planet Hulk, but not go out and do Planet Hulk.
Which is a shame.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Planet Hulk could be its own thing.
Planet Hulk could be its own thing, but I'm not sure in the context of how they've set up this universe, how you get to Planet Hulk.
No, I don't either. At the end of...
You could get to Planet Hulk without going to World War Hulk, just because he took the Quinjet.
Yeah.
So just have him go off course. The Hulk does not have to breathe. The Hulk can exist in space.
Yes.
So the Quinjet can just go out of control, hit a black hole, end up on Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
It becomes its own thing. You don't have to worry about the Illuminati and World War Hulk.
But somehow...
Although World War Hulk would be so badass.
World War Hulk... I mean, why have a Planet Hulk if you can't have World War Hulk?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're sort of inextricable.
Yeah.
World War Hulk may be where you go after the Infinity.
Oh my God, that would be so
Because
amazing.
it would bring it back down to Earth.
Yep.
But keep the cosmic scale.
And Hulk just out for blood
I mean,
on all the Avengers. That would... Oh, jeez.
excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
The other trailer we got was Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
Meh.
Haven't seen.
Really?
Wow, it was underwhelming.
The last 10 seconds paid for the whole thing.
You're talking to a guy. I still haven't seen Rogue One.
Why are we doing a podcast with this guy?
Why are we friends with this guy?
It's unclear.
You know, you can buy it now. You can watch it in your home.
Or do a digital rental. Right through the PlayStation
it's
4.
actually sitting
Oh, boy.
at my home
Oh, my God.
in a Redbox sleeve.
Yikes.
Oh, so you're paying for it and you're not even watching it?
I have not watched it yet.
I'm going to stab you right in the heart.
It's been there since yesterday.
Your heart?
No, it's been gone for years.
I'm so full of hate right now.
The trailer, because The Force Awakens' first trailer was so jaw-droppingly great that everyone had these huge expectations for the Last Jedi trailer, and you were just like, shit.
Yeah. I mean, it looks cool.
But I imagine they are hiding a lot
Yeah.
that they don't want to reveal.
Sure. I mean, how many more trailers are going to drop between now and then?
Yeah, I mean, is this in the world of trailers? Is this in the realm of like the first episode 1 trailer?
This is a 2.5-minute teaser.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's troubling to begin with.
I want to say also they had a ton of time to work on The Force Awakens. So they had a ton of material to choose from. This has only been in production for 18 months, if that?
Yeah,
This has not been in production that long. I don't know how many of the effects they have done or anything like that. But it was underwhelming. I don't know that we really learned anything except Luke actually talks in this one.
Yeah.
hey,
And
they're getting
that's
their
something.
money's worth now.
Yeah. Also, the trailer for Battlefront 2.
Is he doing the whole thing in the Joker voice?
Sadly, no. I would have settled for the Trickster.
Yep.
Yeah, Battlefront 2 trailer came out with no gameplay, of course.
Oh, so just cut screens?
Just a lot of animations.
So it came out in the same state that the first game came out.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. There is going to be a solo campaign, which people were really upset about in the first Battlefront, the lack of in the first Battlefront. And they're going to include the prequels and the...
Throwing in the prequel's always a good idea.
Yeah.
It's
there are
just,
a lot of good characters in there.
It's just natural gold.
Can you play as Jar Jar?
I hope not.
Is he an unlockable character?
I'll bet you they have Gundams, are they?
Gungans.
Gungans. Gundam was Gundam style.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
Goongas, depending on who you listen to during the special features from the prequel trilogy.
And yet you haven't seen Rogue One.
Lucas says Goongas on several occasions.
Gunga Lunga.
Or the Goombas.
Hey now. You are a racist.
Bob resembles that remark.
I've been sticking up for you all this time. And now here
No, you
go.
haven't. You haven't stuck up for him at all.
In my heart.
What are we looking forward to this coming week?
Well, it sounds stupid, but now that the third season of Better Call Saul is out, I can catch up on season 2 on Netflix.
And you will not be disappointed.
I love. I've heard people say, and it is almost blasphemous, but I've heard people say that Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad.
Boy, I don't want to go that far. It's really great in a different way than Breaking Bad.
It's going to be a long time before somebody tops Breaking Bad.
James?
Okay, so I don't really have anything for this segment, so I'd like to jump back to the last segment because I did think of something.
Excellent.
Something interesting that I watched last week. And this will take us back into territory that I know you all love, which is Japanese animation.
Oh, God, here we go again.
I watched the entire first season this past week of a series called One Punch Man.
I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Have you seen?
No, I've not.
heard of.
All I've seen are the YouTube videos of One Punch Man versus Superman and who would win. And
it's just such a great concept. And I believe it actually started out as a webcomic.
Huh.
Webcomic to manga to full anime series with a season 2 coming out soon. Episodes are really short. I mean, they're like 23 minutes on Netflix, but when you take the credits, the opening and closing credits out,
So Robot Chicken
they're more
short.
like 17, 18 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a show about a pretty young guy, 23, 24, who just one day decided to become a hero in a fictionalized Japan where all of the things that attack Japan in anime and film are attacking all the time. Kaiju attacks, weird monsters, everything. It's every day to the point where there's a professional heroes league that, has their own emergency broadcast system, and they have grades of heroes that they set. They choose how to send which grade of hero to what kind of attack, and it's
Sounds an awful lot like Powers, the short-lived TV series on PlayStation.
all very tongue-in-cheek. And our main character, Saitama, is a guy who 3 years before the show started
Was a volleyball coach.
No.
Okay.
Had a run-in with a monster that was attacking a child, decided to quit his, salaryman job, and I think he was actually out of work at the time that happened. But anyway, I don't want corrections from the One Punch Man fans.
Well, I think you're safe.
and engaged in such intense training that, as indicated by the title, he can defeat anything in one punch, including, genetically engineered mutant superhumans who are twice as tall as a skyscraper. Just turned to very well animated gore with a single punch. The result being that he's bored as shit. So this is a story about superhero ennui.
God.
It's funny.
Seek help, James.
But this is a guy who became so powerful that nothing is a challenge anymore. And, how he deals with that, and, trying to basically over the course of the first season, he basically becomes engaged with the superhero community again and starts taking on threats to try and, help people.
Shake some salt in his life.
Yeah. But, at the point we find him when the series begins, he really just has no interest in anything because, his fights are so fast because he is so strong that he usually doesn't even get credited with saving whole towns from these monsters because he just jumps up, punches them in the face once, they explode, and he goes home.
I watched the first 3 episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000: The Return. They picked right up where they left off all those years ago with new casts, a lot of the same writers. Fun time. MST3K never fails to entertain.
And that's on Netflix.
Netflix. All right, boys. We're all caught up. James got his Japanese plug in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're good.
Where did I insert my Japanese plug?
Well, that's for next week. Thanks for listening to Stay on Topic. We'll be back again next week with new topics that we hope to stay on.
Hey, Chris.
Yo.
Why don't we give them the email address again?
The email address is stayontopic111@gmail. So let us know what you think, if we stink, if you like us.
Please don't tell us we stink. We have such fragile egos.
I was waiting for a third rhyme.
Yeah. No, I'm not that clever. Nowhere near that clever.
I do have a question that I want to ask on air.
Oh, boy.
Did you introduce yourself this time?
I did not.
Maybe we should do that now.
My name is Chris Gill. I used to work in sports writing, and now I'm in manufacturing, and I do a podcast with two of my friends in my house on Saturdays and Sundays.
I think friend is a pretty strong word, but we'll end on that.
Yeah, sure. Did you know there's a My Little Pony movie coming out?
Why?